Welcome, one and all, to your favorite podcast. This is, of course, the H-Cast, bringing it to you live with episode number 60. Hot damn, ladies and gents,
getting up
we're
there.
cruising off onto these streams now. Getting absolutely plowing it out, loving it. Hope you're all well, one and all, and thank you so much for joining us here on this lively Thursday, a little bit earlier than we do on Tuesdays, of course, but I hope you're all well. I hope you're having a great day. We've got a fantastic show, your favorite podcast today, from a little bit of Snow White, predominantly lots going on with the strike. We've got to talk about that. She-Hulk season 2 is rumored. We've got a lawsuit for Disney. We're going to review Ahsoka. It's action-packed, ladies and gents. So thank you so much for joining me. And of course, my illustrious panel, there are a few more individuals that will be joining us as well as we sort of cruise on into this. But right now, I'm joined by Culture Casino and Nick from Nick Talks Entertainment, or Echo Base Network. How you doing, guys? Are you all right?
Doing good. I just woke up like 15 minutes ago.
Couldn't tell.
Have a major headache. But other than that, I'm doing great. I'm ready to get into it. Do this Ahsoka review, I guess.
Oh no, that is exactly how I feel. That is exactly how I feel with it.
Yeah.
Oh dear, oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. Well, ladies and gents, how are you doing, Culture? You all right there, chap?
I'm fantastic. Everything's beautiful. Lots of amazing things going on in the world right now, including this stream, everybody's favorite podcast, every Tuesday and Thursday. We're jam packed today. I'm very excited.
We are jam packed. It's a pretty good show for you all today, ladies and gents. A few things that I always say at the start of all of these podcasts, your favorite podcast, is we always get demonetized. So this show is, and I've got to say it because we literally just have to say it, we are funded by you guys, for you guys. Your super chats, your super stickers, your channel memberships go an awful long way. They keep the lights on, they keep the show cruising along and keep it going nicely. So if you want to contribute to anything that we're talking about today, you will have a captive audience for your question. Send in a super chat. It can be about what we're talking about. It can be about anything, literally anything you want to discuss, off topic, on topic, whatever. Send in your super chat and we will get to it. We cover every single super chat here on this channel whilst we are live. We don't transfer them to another stream, or it's always here. We always do it. So again, we're funded by you guys, for you guys. Your favorite podcast runs because of your help and your support. So please do that. Again, if you want to become a member, memberships are really good as well. I don't know why YouTube demonetizes this stream, but it does.
It's because of Tom.
All the time. Yeah, I mean, it's a running joke that it's because of Tom, because I 9 times out of 10 I check once Tom's been on and I'm like, Tom's demonetized. But yeah, I don't really understand. They always gets demonetized. It's very frustrating. And obviously, guys, you would have realized by now that the channel, my channel, and probably these guys as well, are likely being throttled a little bit by the YouTube algorithm. So smash that thumbs up button on your way in. It's not for the stream because this video gets unlisted when we're after being live, but it's to help encourage YouTube to notify you. So please do hit that thumbs up button on your way in. But there is my preamble out the way. So how are we? Are we all right? I'll get my preambles done now so I can chit chat and stuff.
Sweet.
Are we all good? Yeah.
Yeah.
We already have much excitement.
Much excitement. I've had an absolute nightmare with my just a bit of what's happening in my world. If you didn't know, ladies and gents, I have a bit of a classic car obsession, and this is my my Datsun 510, and it's been an absolute nightmare. I hate it. Well, I love it as well.
So, what's the update on when you broke down driving? Did you figure out what the issue was and get that fixed?
Yeah, so that was a faulty fuel gauge. So it basically just ran out of fuel, but the fuel gauge said that it was, it had lots of fuel in it. So that was frustrating. Then the brakes started to lock up because I've upgraded the front brakes on this, and I'm like, why are the front brakes locking up? I'm like, oh, I bleed the system. I've flushed the system. I've done so many different things. But I bet you don't know about pedal play, brake pedal play. It sounds like a weird, kinky sex act, doesn't it? But brake pedal play is something which is absolutely required on a car. Because if it's a mechanical, the normal hydraulic system, not reliant on any electronics, if you don't have any brake pedal play, what happens is because the brake pedal is directly attached to the brake booster, and there's a plunger which directly goes into the cylinder, right, the master cylinder, and the reservoir for the brakes. If you don't have any brake pedal play, it sets a preload tension when the brakes start to heat up because the brake fluid expands, and it becomes a one-way hydraulic system because the plunger can't return, thus allowing the hydraulic fluid to come back. I didn't bloody know that. So basically, I've adjusted all this brake pedal play, and after this stream, I will be going out in that car, and I've got to go through some heat cycles with the brakes to see whether I've got it fixed. Bet you didn't know I'm a bit of a mechanic, ladies and gents.
Wow.
I do like my cars, but fucking that's a bit bloody ball ache. Anyway, right, we've rattled on enough about my nonsense. Let's get it. We've got to say this before we get started. Him downstairs has become a member of the channel. My golly gosh, thank you so much. Memberships go a massively long way, so thank you so much, him downstairs. Jacob Bowman sent in a super sticker for $9.99, keeping the lights on. Again, it's a bit of a meme when we say that, keeping the lights on, but it's a genuine, sincere comment. So thank you so much. And thank you, everyone, contributing today. KN Kareen for $4.99 says, any news on the Thundercats movie? I'm worried Sony or Universal buy the rights because Warner Brothers not a good studio to develop these old 80s IPs. So, like I said, we'll get through all of your super chats as we get through this stream. I haven't had any updates on the Thundercats movie for a while. Wasn't it exactly the same director that did Godzilla vs. Kong? Wasn't he on that, if I remember rightly? Or was he on the Voltron movie?
I thought he left the project.
Oh,
I could be wrong.
remember.
It's been a minute since I've heard any news on that.
It's been really quiet.
Yeah.
Well, it was exactly the same. So Highlander was dead quiet for ages, wasn't it? Remember? And then we had an update on that randomly out of the blue. Yeah, I haven't. I've heard, directed by Adam Wingard. Yeah, still directed by Adam Wingard, apparently, from what I can say. Just a brief, quick look through. Honestly, no updates, Kareen. But Warner Brothers, a good fit for these? I don't think so. But I also don't think they're the worst. I don't think Sony's the best. I don't think Universal is either. Legendary, maybe. Thoughts?
Legendary would be a really good fit, I think. Again, because they would do it all justice. They have they understand a lot of these properties, so I feel like they'd have a better shot at it. That's a weird thing to say, though. You know?
Yeah. Well, yeah, true. Very, very true. Nick's got to dip out briefly, but we will bring on Andre here, and we've also got Tom Connors. So we've got a full house today. How are we doing, chaps? Are we all good?
I like turtles.
Doing excellent. And Tom, it's very timely that you said that, because I just saw Mutant Mayhem.
Why? Why the hell would you waste your time doing that? I know it comes out on digital this week too, by the way.
Because my daughter wanted to see it in the cinema.
Oh Lord!
Why
didn't you just wait a week? It comes out on digital this week.
No. She, the movie is of secondary importance. She wanted to go to the cinema with Daddy.
Okay, that's fair. But so, what did you think, and what did she think?
We had a good time together. We had fun. It was a fun father and daughter experience. She enjoyed, she didn't love the movie. She thought it was fun. She thought it was fine. She's not going to be like a turtle fan or anything like this afterwards. I thought it was better than I expected. I'm not going to say it was good, but it was better than I expected it was going to be. But because I listened to you, right? So
Have you seen TMNT 2007, and have you seen the original movie?
I enjoyed 2007. That blew me away.
How can you not see this as a pale ripoff of that?
Oh, I do. I do see it as a pale ripoff of that. A completely pale ripoff. But
Tom's glitching right now.
I wish they would have done something completely different with it. But, yeah.
Told you, he's glitching.
I wish it would have been more akin to like the 90s or 80s cartoon that I grew up with. But I think, yeah, they made some really weird, puzzling choices with the change of the origin. So basically now Bebop and Rocksteady, even though they look like 40-year-olds, are 15 as well. And they're good guys. I mean, it's just like an alternate Elseworlds take on the Turtles. And there's no story to go from here. This was like a one-off. I mean, there's no more storytelling in this universe. So yeah.
But we got teased the Shredder, which means nothing.
Did we?
Yay!
I must have missed that.
I didn't pay
You didn't stay for the end credit scene, evidently. Yeah,
obviously.
Oh dear, oh dear.
Okay, well,
right,
you know that one doctor is named like something Utrom.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, well, you know what the name Utrom means, right?
Yeah, those are
okay.
Like the brain people that Kang is part of or something. Right?
Yeah, well, Krang was based on the Utroms.
Krang, yeah.
Okay, so she's a Utrom, and then she's like, bring him in, and then they just show this shot of the Shredder from behind. Like, so we're supposed to think he's something important in this world. So they're probably bringing in the Utrom version of Shredder, I would imagine.
Yeah. Well, anyway, this is not something that I care to see one more installment of. But I wasn't dying in my seat, and that was really like I was able to. Yeah, I know, but I was like, yeah, okay, doing this for my daughters. That's kind of was like the motivation for going.
Oh, dear.
So well, the 1990 movie. Do her some justice.
Speaking of
which is old enough.
Speaking of dying in our seats, we all had to watch. Well, not we didn't all, but we are going to be reviewing Ahsoka episode 3. I know Nick watched it, Culture watched it, and I watched it. So, first topic, Ahsoka review. You know, each time we're just going to chuckle at the end of it.
That's the whole idea.
Oh, Nick, I'm going to hand it straight on over to you because you are our resident Star Wars aficionado. Give me a review of Ahsoka episode 3, Nick. Oh, Nick's dead already. Culture, give us your review.
Yeah, beginning to end, this was boring.
I was talking the whole time and didn't realize it was muted. But that I was sitting there talking. Sorry, guys. Anyways, let me start off by saying this week's episode, I felt that there was less poo-poo and more pew-pew in it. Only because it was only 29 minutes long. There wasn't enough time for them to give us more bullshit in this thing. Because it was only 29 minutes long. I'm so sick and tired of these short episodes, long episodes. It is all over the place. I don't know if Disney Lucasfilm knows how to make TV shows, because it's been like this since Mando season 1. It's super frustrating. Just give us a 30-minute show every week, or give us a 45-minute show every week, or hour show, whatever. Just make up your minds. But when they go into these, it's like they're taking and making a movie and then just chopping it up into episodes. And they're like, there it is. There's our TV show. We're just going to make a movie and then just chop it up into episodes. So the episode starts off after the 2-minute long recap with Ahsoka and Sabine training. She's training with Pootie Tang droid. I can't even remember his name because it's so forgetful. So I just call him Pootie Tang. And she's got a freaking wooden sword, like it's, ancient Chinese, Japanese, stuff going on here on Earth. I don't know why she's got this wooden sword, and I get it. They're making the callbacks, that sort of thing. But she wielded the dark saber. It's not like she's a kid. In the prequels, that even the younglings had lightsabers. In Star Wars, right when Obi-Wan met up with Luke, he gave him his father's lightsaber and was training him on the Falcon with the lightsaber. There was none of this wooden stick stuff. I understand what they're doing because Filoni is a hack, and he's like, well, George looked back at the Kurosawa stuff and Samurai and all that, so we're going to add that element into it. He used that as inspiration. He didn't use it directly,
Take it like for like.
Yeah, and copy and paste it, right into his movie. Filoni's a hack, but continuing. So after that, then we get the copy and paste scene with her putting the face shield on, completely ripped that right out of A New Hope. And I'm all for callbacks, but not a direct copy and paste callback. If it's a line like in the prequels when Anakin said, here's where the fun begins, as a callback to Han Solo, to the original trilogy, that doesn't bother me so much. But when it's a whole like setup and scene that's basically a copy and paste, it's super irritating. After that, we do get a cool shot of the Rebel, aka the New Republic fleet, that I thought was cool. I thought that was a cool shot. They were, above Coruscant there. It showed the whole fleet. And then we go into the meeting with Hera and the senators. Mon Mothma hasn't aged a day since before Star Wars, apparently. So she looks the exact same. I don't know why they didn't give her more of a haircut like Mon Mothma from Return of the Jedi and maybe aged her a little bit, tried to make her look a little bit older, but whatever. Then here we realize how dumb and stupid the New Republic continues to be.
Yeah,
they
we're not
are
looking for a fight.
Fools, yeah.
What?
It's like it's like the King of Rohan in Lord of the Rings, where he's like, I will not send my people to war, and Aragorn's like, war's upon you, whether you want to, accept it or not, and they're so stupid. They're like, we're not going to fight the Imperials. They're, there's no leader. They're scattered. Like, look, you're just going to let this just fester back up. It's sort of like, when you're out in the woods camping and you start a fire, it's like, well, there's just a couple little coals here. We'll leave it, No, you don't leave it. Put it out. Put the Empire out. You got to go take down the remnants, all that. And then we saw in Mando season 3 where they're dismantling the fleet. But we do get some ships here. And it's just like they continue to show their stupidity. No wonder the First Order rises up, because the New Republic is a bunch of idiots. Let's see. There was another point I was going to make here. What was it? I don't know. It'll come back to me. So after that, then we get Jason, the son of Janin and Hera. He has no little Twi'lek limbs coming out of his head. He looks completely human. I guess that's how it works. Don't really understand, but okay. Then we get more walking and talking with Ahsoka and Sabine, sitting there, which is boring. I will say this. Is a positive. I appreciate that the Pootie Tang droid is constantly putting her down and trashing on her, and she is not doing anything. She basically sucks, and most of the time I see Disney Lucasfilm hyping all the women characters up and making them OP as shit. And here, they're making a woman look stupid and not good, and basically showing that she sucks at trying to be a Jedi. But again, why does she have to be a Jedi? She's a Mandalorian. She's got armor. She's got cool weapons. She's good with tech. She doesn't have, not everybody has to be a Jedi, which is also irritating and frustrating. Just let her be her. Ahsoka even says it. I don't need her to be a Jedi. I just need her to be herself. She's a Mandalorian. Let her. Why are you trying to, force her into, or trying to train her to do the space wizard force stuff? Just let her be a badass Mandalorian. But I do appreciate that, and I'm kind of surprised that they're freaking, kind of putting a woman down a little bit in here. Then they show up at the giant space ring, the Eye of Sauron, from Lord of the Rings that they snagged that name from. And then we get these stupid fighters. I hate the fighter ship design in this battle, this space battle. So I watched
Space battle.
Yeah, so I watched it a second time, and on the second watch is when I noticed this about the space battle. The ships, the fighters are definitely faster than Ahsoka's ship. They show that when they show them kind of coming down and shooting at her ship. I mean, they're gaining on it, and then that shows them like up close and basically having to veer off, so they don't run into the ship. But every single shot, other than that, every single shot is of them behind the ship the whole time. Where the gun is at, I'm like, I played TIE Fighter, the space simulator game in the X-Wing games, and when I was attacking shuttles that had guns in the back, I never attacked from behind. Why are they doing this? It makes no sense. It's like, there's the one gun, let's go right behind where that gun is and attack from there. So I found that kind of to be stupid. And then we get they got to get super close to do the scan thing, whatever. Then they end up basically getting disabled because they take on so much damage. Then Ahsoka comes out and in her spacesuit,
in a spacesuit made specifically for her head.
Yeah, made specifically for her head and her body.
Why did it just go over the whole thing? Why did it? Yeah. Why?
No clue. and she was able to put that thing on in seconds. I mean, I guess that's sort of like the Superman telephone booth thing. She just like walks in and just walks out, and it's on and ready to go. So she's out there. And when she was out there, then the ships are just shooting at her out there. She's blocking it left and right. She's doing parkour on there in space. And when she destroyed the ship with it, like that was cool. She took out one of the fighters with her lightsabers. I like that part, but the whole scene is just very unbelievable. And I got a Star Trek First Contact vibe in that. Like I was waiting for her to be like, assimilate this, and like fling her lightsaber at one of the fighters or something. Then after that they end up going. I will say this: I'm glad they didn't do the Space Mary Poppins. When she was floating around out there, I was like, oh. She's totally going to do the Space Mary Poppins, and they're going to be like, see, the Force can like make you fly through space, They didn't do that. Sabine had to go get her. Then we get we see the Purgles, the whales, as they're down on the planet, which I liked. Rebels in the Purgles were fine in the animated cartoon because it's like, it's just a cartoon, But I'm not really big a fan of the space whales that can go into hyperspace. I think they're kind of weird and dumb, just my personal opinion. So we see those, and then they get down on the planet. They land the ship in this opening. The other ships fly right over them, don't even see them. Then we finally get Ray Stevens' character, and what you're gonna say?
I was going to say the best and most interesting character out of the whole episode is there for like 5 seconds.
Yeah. 5
seconds.
Do
anything. He just stands there.
Yeah, 5 seconds at the very end and says they're in the woods. Go find them. Like, all right, good job. Like that, he was totally needed for this episode. Just to say that. And then the episode ends, and the thing is, that ends on such a stupid scene like that. Not stupid in the fact that it wasn't needed or the scene was stupid, but stupid in the sense of that. Okay, we're gonna tune in next week to see if they find him. There's no hook there. Like, so when you're watching when I'm watching TV shows, like, there's got to be a hook, at the end that makes me like want to watch the next episode, like right then. If they would have just stretched out just a little bit longer, and had them out in the woods hunting for them, and like one of them finds them and is like, hey, I found them, everybody converge on my position. And then we see all them coming and surrounding her ship and kind of moving in closer. And then it ends on that. Then it ends on sort of like that high suspense moment. In this one, it just didn't. And that's the end of the episode. And three episodes
good
in it.
Good recap, Nick.
Yeah,
you told us everything
that happened. Yeah, well done. Nice review. Look, my review is it was boring. I have only recently started watching. The only episode I've seen is episode 3, and I have now decided that Disney Star Wars is a comedy. They are everything about it is hysterical. You talked about the spaceship thing, and I still laugh every time there's a cartwheel. She does a cartwheel over spaceships. No problem. You're talking about, her what do you call it? Terry cloth pajama spacesuit, right? That's a whole problem, but it's something else entirely. But so she like having her hop over there without all of the physics problems that come along with it. Like, does she have magic magnetic gravity boots or some shit? I mean, how is she able to spring off of there and land, and then spring off of there and land again? And then lightsabers aren't immediately cutting through things like it was depicted with the spaceship wing. The minute that that blade hit, she would have either had her arm torn off, the blade thrown away, and her being propelled into space at ridiculous speeds and dying.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm going to keep going through it and say every single thing was funny. And to be fair, and it was in the stinger. This show's a meme machine. Especially Sabine, Disparu, and a couple other people noted it, that her expressions like that, those are the things that we're going to want to use as memes going forward for Disney Star Wars, because it is a trash show.
Yeah.
Garbage.
Well, just give my review real quick because Nick's recap was hella long. The fact that they're forcing Sabine to become a Jedi, nonsense. Hate it. It's ridiculous. It became a soap opera this week. It was awful, garbage, just dog shit. Marok is clearly going to be Ezra Bridger. That's pathetic. Who cares? The whole thing, who cares? Just give me more Ray Stevens. Give me Balin. Give me his character and why he turned. Give me all of that. I want that. This ridiculous crap, cheap. And Ahsoka, Rosario Dawson, just looks tired and exhausted the whole time. I don't know how long she's in makeup for, but she looks so tired. Look at her next episode. She's just shattered. It's like she's been away, like partying in a rave for like 10 years or something like that. It's crap. It's crap. It's absolute poo. So there you go. There you go. We will shuffle on now to some super chats here. So Israel R for $2. I bet Tom and Andre are like, fucking oh god, I'm glad we don't tune in to watch this crap. Jesus. Israel R for $2 says, greetings HCast and panel. Thank you so much. Comrade Commissar Yuri says for £1.99 says, since when did turbo lasers become anti-air flak?
Oh yeah, that was something else. There's so much stuff I could have ranted and gone into more. I was trying to make it quick, but kind of hit some key points to the episode.
Doesn't Elsbeth look like she's constipated as well?
A little bit,
like the whole time, just constipated. And the weird conversation between Hera and Elsbeth. Congratulations, Elsbeth. You almost got them. Like, shut the fuck up. Who cares? Honestly. Al Humphrey sent in a £3 super sticker. Thank you so much. And then Istari Azul for $1.99 says, do you think Kamala creates or repels more fans? What's this referring to?
Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel.
Well, you can answer this one, Andre. Do you reckon she creates or repels more fans?
No, I don't think that she repels anyone per se, because her big screen appearance is mostly harmless. I mean, yeah, she may repel people in that video game where she was forced to the front and center. I think the character, which is basically like a self-insert from the author, the character in comics and in the one video game appearance, that's probably a repellent. On streaming and in the upcoming movie, she's definitely not a repellent, thanks to the actress playing her, who's actually really, really good. But she's also not a draw. Like, she may be a draw to a very small minority of Pakistani immigrants in the West, or others who may recognize themselves in her family situation and stuff like that. She absolutely may appeal to that particular crowd, which is fantastic and awesome. But beyond that, I do not think that she's a draw. So definitely not a repellent, but not a draw either. Kind of like neutral.
Okay. Yeah, I probably agree with that. Neither for or against.
Yeah.
Oh dear. Well, we will shuffle on to some more super chats in a bit, ladies and gents. So please do send them in. We'll get to them. But let's move on to our first topic, where we can all chip in on this. Yeah, that's right. It was always going to be Snow Brown. Oh, dear God. Right, look. Snow White. We've got part of the shortlist now for the actors. So Rachel Zegler was almost not going to be cast, but we were also going to have Renata Vega. Now, look, as if I've got to say it, I don't care whether it's Latinas that are cast for anything. I don't care. But we're talking about Snow White. The complexion is as white as snow. The clue is in the name. And I think this is an interesting conversation to go into, right? Because this goes to show that from its inception point, this remake was never going to be a remake. They were going very much for... they sort of tentatively approached it when it came to Little Mermaid, and then they just went balls to the wall with this. They were always going to change it up as massive as they possibly could. And this is part of that. They were going to have... they sent out a casting call, obviously, for Latina actresses. They were always going for a Latina actress. And that fundamentally goes to show that the lack of respect for the original from the off was just never there. They just didn't have any respect at all. So this came out in an interview, basically, and it says, we started the casting. I did it. He gave me some annotations. They said, thank you, and that's it. I think I needed, more to make that decision. Besides, Rachel Zegler's so talented. No, she's not. To me, it's like, no way. Mark Webb directed me. Even if it's just for a casting call, I was Snow White there, and they saw me as Snow White at some point. Maybe one day.
So they were only looking at Latina actresses? Is that what you're saying?
Well, look, she was one of the finalists to play Snow White. This Renata Vega, she was one of the finalists. Rachel Zegler got the part. So if you're narrowing it down, and all the people that you narrow it down to as finalists end up being Latina, we know two Latina actresses now. The one which got the role, one which narrowly missed out on the role. So logic would dictate that they sent out a casting call for Latina actresses. Can't confirm it, but it's highly likely it was not an open-ended casting.
How's that not racist?
Well, of course it is. Absolutely, of course it is. Well, thoughts? I hand it on over to you then, Tom. Come on, let's go.
I say racism. I mean, if you didn't allow any black women, white women, Italian women, Jewish women to try out for this role, and only women of Latina background, then I think that's pretty racist. Or Hispanic background, sorry. Use the term correctly.
100% is racist, without a shadow of a doubt. And it also flies in the face because the thing
Of
is,
everything they're pushing, yeah.
well, the thing is, we know that we know they're lying, and they know that we know that they're lying, and yet they still do it anyway. It's the ultimate gaslight, because they'll come out now in interviews further down the line, call everyone racist for not watching it, for rejecting it outright, and then they'll also say, "But we just cast the best person for the role from a shortlist solely, again, highly likely, of just Latinos."
Yeah.
So
That's a
yeah.
very important point right there, because they always say this, that oh no, we did this stunt casting because this was the best person for the role. No, it wasn't. You were very specifically going for stunt casting always. Like, this is 100% of the case. Like, there has never ever been a case where they have made a movie like Snow White and oh, this Latina or Black or Asian or what have you, chick or actor or whatever, was just so good in the casting call that this was the right person. No, it wasn't the right person. It was the person you were looking for. You were looking very specifically for stunt casting, and among the possible choices that satisfied the stunt casting requirements, this may have been the best choice for the role, as was required in this particular version of the movie. That is the case. In this sense, I'm glad that that this got out, because it only confirms what we all knew. This was never about honoring the legacy, making money. These are the activists in Disney that want to stick it to Walt Disney, who are ashamed of working, or not for Disney today, because today Disney is the Iger company and they love that, but they're ashamed of the legacy of the Disney company. They're ashamed of the legacy of Walt Disney. They're ashamed of the classic Disney movies, and they want to fix them, make them their own with the times. Whereas everyone else would say, destroy them.
Yeah, and just like alternatively, I'm sure they didn't look at any other actresses who weren't Black for The Little Mermaid. Just like I'm sure if you ask them, did you look at any other actresses who weren't Asian for Mulan? They wouldn't have either. So right there's calling out their hypocrisy, right? So this is what I've been saying all this time. It's like either you stick with what you got or you don't do it, because what you're doing is basically, I've compared it to no, it's no different to me than the old sideshow at the circus. It's, you know, the same thing as come see the amazing chicken boy and the bearded fat lady and all this other kind of stuff. And they use the quote unquote freak show, you know, to pull in customers. And that's really what it is. And until a lot of these folks say, no, I will not be allowed to be your part of your freak show, nothing's going to change.
Yeah. I mean, unequivocally, it is racism. You are diminishing. It's also a form of cultural appropriation, quite frankly, you know, where sort of Snow White comes from, the sort of origin of it all, etc., etc. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous. It was the same with The Little Mermaid, where that came from, and the sort of origin of that. That was a form of cultural appropriation. And they can beat around the bush as much as they want. Well, no, you know, it was set in this time and blah, blah, blah. Shut up. It's absolutely ridiculous. It goes back to what we were talking about last stream with Robin Hood. Tom's epic raps, which I haven't edited that video yet, and I'm so looking forward to doing it because I'm going to laugh my ass off again. But it's the same thing, you know. It's just this repackaging, repurposing of old material, and it always amazes me why people are so happy for it as well, and they just lap up that sloppy second that you get in there. It's disgusting, you know. You're happy to just slot in and take that. You're literally a checkbox at that point. You are literally a checkpoint.
They should have just given it to
checkbox.
They should have just given the role to Dylan Mulvaney.
Oh dear God. Well, he's pretty pale. He'd at least fit it in that regard.
Yeah.
At least he would fit the complexion of Snow White.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you know, there are why can't Disney do a fairy tale for Latinas, right? Why can't you do Latin representation that way? And I always say this when it comes to Netflix and just general modern programming as a whole, is we have this modern programming where you absolutely unequivocally know before you even get the casting what's going to happen. You know you're going to get this archetype, that archetype, and it's going to be diversity across the board. And it becomes homogenous. Everything is homogenous via diversity. What I would like is diversity through programming, not diversity through hiring and casting. Give me Netflix with all their, epic sums of cash that they've got. Give me a Central African myth and legend. Hire one of those directors to tell a fairy tale and folklore story from Central Africa, one that I've got no idea about. I'd love that. I would absolutely love that. Again, like they've been doing with the Korean stuff. Hire some Korean people to do stuff like that. Get that stuff. That's great. Epic. Nah. We just homogenous diversity casting where you know everything that's going to happen. It's just ridiculous. Boring. Absolutely boring. Culture, you look like you wanted to chime in there, bud.
Look, I've been tired of this for a long time. Stunt casting, whatever you want to call it, and Hollywood's always done some form of stunt casting, but usually it's like a star. They'll go out and get an actual certified star. Rachel Zegler's far from a star. She's far from being talented. She's far from a lot of the attributes that people were trying to assign to her in all of these articles. She's only been involved in things that have flopped and failed. She's about to be involved in 2 more. One of them is coming up, the songbirds and snakes and sucking
Hunger Games.
That thing, yeah.
Stuff.
Yeah, that's about to fail, and we know Snow White's going to fail, and they pushed that back a long way, but it's not lost on me that somebody else is going to be trying to hold up this Hunger Games film, and now they're under the weight of the Snow White bologna sausage, so that film's going to suck rocks. So I look at it and I'm saying, okay, you picked this lady, then you gave her like a public relations training that only feeds into this, but it's on them 100% because they decided to cast outside of type. And you have a character written the same way, the origins, all that. Sure, it's a racism, absolutely, but at the same time, it's not in service of telling the story. It's not even in service of recreating the story. And I think Tom hit the nail on the head a couple weeks ago when he said, what this really is Disney accidentally making something original out of something that they're trying to portray as Snow White. And I think that's more likely what it is. But, does it surprise me that, we were always going to have Snow Brown? No, not at all.
No, I think what'll be interesting is, so Little Mermaid, someone in the chat said, well, their stunt casting sort of works because it's on 560 million worldwide. That's awful for the Little Mermaid. That should have been $1 billion movie. And
compared
the thing
to the
is,
other films,
yeah, it should have been $1 billion movie. That's what these live action films have done. So that's actually horrendous, and it hasn't made any money. It's
not only that,
shows
they've already lost half of their audience. Yeah,
at least.
Yeah. Not only that, right? You've also got to, that's not good. Like, that's their sort of metric test to see how changing stuff up was going to work or not. And then they've got this movie coming out. This will unequivocally bomb. And they'll try and play it up, I reckon, because we're going to get a delay. And I bet you anything, hot prediction, right? Hot prediction that their marketing change of tactic will be play up to the Latino audience. I bet you that's what they're going to do, because they haven't done that yet, and I bet you they are going to do that now moving forwards, because they have to change their marketing tactic somehow. The marketing has been out with the old, in with the new. This obviously came from them, but yeah, I reckon they'll try and play it to the Latino audience, and I don't think they'll buy it either. Which good on them.
You know what the irony is?
Oh, no.
You know how you play to the Latino audience?
We don't. You
make good
characters.
Because the Latino audience loves good movies. That's what they're in for. You make a good movie, the Latino audience will be there. You have to
or put a car in it.
Yeah, maybe. But like, point is, you don't have to do anything super duper special to get them in. I mean, yeah, you have like the natural representation and stuff like that. If you have like a story that's set in LA or something, or Spain or in Mexico. But like, for instance, if you have a story that's set in medieval Europe, I don't think that the Latino audience appreciates that kind of stunt casting. I mean, Latinos are, on a whole, as a group, very sensible people.
Yeah, I think most people just want good movies, to be fair.
Exactly.
Cool. Yeah. Nick, we haven't heard from you yet.
I don't got much to add. I agree with everything everybody's been saying on this. I definitely think this is going to be a dead on arrival film. I don't think the audience is going to go out there and support this at all when it drops. It'll, of course, get a little bit of money. There'll be people that'll go see it, but it's going to lose money. It's going to be dead on arrival.
I wonder whether this will follow exactly the same as The Little Mermaid, where The Little Mermaid only did well domestically and bombed worldwide. Didn't do very well worldwide at all. And I wonder if this will be exactly the same as that.
That sounds like an extremely plausible scenario.
Yeah. I actually think it will do worse than Little Mermaid.
Oh, yeah, no, I 100% believe you're on the money there. I reckon it will struggle to hit $400 million worldwide.
Agreed.
That's well it should.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Of all the movies that deserve to bomb, that's absolutely one of them for sure. Dead on arrival, hopefully, with any luck. So let's take some of these great super chats coming in now, because we've actually got quite a fair few. So we're just going to get through to some of these before we shuffle on to our next topic. So Horseradish Power has been a member for 29 months. And if you're a member of the channel, you get a free monthly super chat. So consider joining up as a member. It says, at CC, meeting up with a friend tomorrow. We'll look to discuss English mythology with them. Big project is to work on a Stranger Things SH project.
That's cool. I can't wait to see what you're cooking up, Horseradish Power. So yeah, let's and again, feel free to send me anything that you want me to read right to the email for the channel, because the main channel address I actually read and respond, because I had somebody reach out to me from VFX the other day and I had a pretty interesting exchange there. So let's just if you've got something you want to send it to me. I'll read it. So
cool. Excellent stuff. Nikki for $5 says Star Wars now is all about copying previous Star Wars movies, shows, and not even in a good or subtle way. Now, I mean, even comes down to Sabine Wren shooting the fighters in space. That's a direct copy of Luke, getting one, and then Han going, "All right, yeah, calm down." Like, it's exactly the same thing. Oh, I got one. Like, it's literally ripped directly off the page from another thing.
But and when Ahsoka, go ahead.
I was just going to say, but they rip off those things, but then they don't maintain the laws of the universe that they're ripping off, like jumping around and in space and all that other kind of crap, and lightsabers killing people and all this other stuff. They're just like, forget that, don't worry. But we'll steal this. That's fine.
Yeah. And if you go back and watch the original Star Wars film on that scene where Luke and Han are in the gunner seats, shooting at the TIE fighters, and that scene happens, you feel that emotion from Han. He yells back, "Great kid, don't get cocky," and Luke's over there and he's getting excited when he destroys one. There's like emotion, there's tension. This had none of that. If you go back and watch Ahsoka's reply to her, she's just like, "Oh, good."
They didn't feel like there was any threat. There was no threat there at all. Like, how many hits did that ship take directly on? Like, they just kept getting shot. Just kept getting shot.
Yeah.
So it's fine. They're not going to die. It's fine. Ridiculous. There was no urgency in the voices. No, shit. Dog shit. Adam for 10,000 Hungarian Florin. God damn it. I'll get it right one of these days. Says, why does Ahsoka move and look like she's hiding her pregnancy? I don't want to know who the father is, though. Also, it's the third live show she appears in. Why nobody asked her where she was for like 12 years? Was Filoni a child with special needs?
Yeah, Filoni didn't listen to any said, obviously. He was just there. He showed up and George talked and it went in one ear and right out the other. Filoni's a hack, and I think Filoni is at the point to where he's like, George is gone. Star Wars isn't his anymore. It's mine. I want my Star Wars to be better than what George did. I'm going to do it to where more, the whole diversity and inclusion and all that sort of stuff. But the thing is, he it's not like he went to like film school and did all this stuff. He got hired from basically off the streets for like he sent something. George saw something in his or read something his. I can't remember the exact story. Tom or Andre or Culture might know. But I'm drawing a blank. But he it's not like he went and did all this studying and learned all this stuff about film school and all that sort of stuff. He just fell into the job, and now he just got a little bit of onset training from Roundhead Johnson and Jon Favreau, and now he's doing his own Star Wars, and he's doing a lot of the copy paste, and he thinks that's going to make his Star Wars great, I guess.
But it will, because KK loves it, and they've had 14 million views. Come on, don't you know?
That's the thing. Filoni and KK seem more in line with each other than what George and he obviously did. Because if George really thought he was the end all be all, the true,
he would have
carrier of the talk, he would have made him the creative director of Lucasfilm. He would have given him a position that was equally as powerful as Kennedy's, but he clearly didn't trust him. And I can see why. And they historically didn't see eye to eye on a lot of things, right? Like there was supposedly
George killed Ahsoka, didn't he?
Yeah, there was a big to do about that too, I guess too. But anyhow, I just at the end of the day, I've never trusted Filoni. I know people wanted to believe he had, the wherewithal or he was the savior or whatever you want to call it, but no, I knew that was not the direction we needed to go. Jon Favreau, for better or for worse, was the one who should be in charge of this.
Yeah,
I agree. 100% agree with that. I mean, you take Mando season 3 out of the equation, right? Which I'm in two minds. I don't think that was directed, but I don't think he had much to do with that at all, to be fair. I think that was Filoni and Kathleen Kennedy, but you take that out of the equation, his projects have been much, much better. I mean, he single-handedly resurrected Star Wars, at least on the small screen. People wanted to watch it again. So, but now we've got Filoni. Filoni Baloney. He's the future, man. Yeah,
he's going to do the movies. And
he's going to be doing the movie that concludes what Jon Favreau set up. I mean, fucking work that one out. How disrespectful is that?
Yeah. Did you have you watched his women's conference speech, Nate?
No. Why would I watch that?
Oh God. Well, when you watch it, like when that came out and people were talking about it, they're like, it was the crowd. He was speaking to the crowd. He was at a women's conference, so they were giving him a break, basically. At this point,
he's there.
Now his actions back up everything he said at that stupid women's conference. There's no excuses for Filoni anymore. None.
I'll have to check it out. But
I'll send it to you. I'll DM it to you.
You can't excuse it because he was there and he was. Oh well, he was there. Yeah, he was there. Yeah, exactly. He was there. Like you can't.
Now is that speech the same one or a different one where he was out there like, yeah, I think Star Wars should have a lead female character.
Yeah, it was that one. That was
it. And Star Wars hasn't had any strong females.
No.
And he's like,
what was Leia? Leia single-handedly murdered Jabba the Hutt.
Well, I'm Dave Filoni.
No, she did murder Jabba the Hutt, didn't she? She choked him.
Yeah, she totally choked a bitch. Yeah.
Fucking what? Oh my god,
dude, she went straight up Ezra Miller on Jabba the Hutt.
Leia is one of the few people in the movies like she would not take shit off nobody. She even looked Vader in the eyes and was like, "What you gonna do, bitch?"
Well, her first line to Han Solo in that is like, "On your little short to be stormtroopers."
Yeah, well, that was And then the first thing she says to Han is that we're here to save you. She's like, in this bucket of bolts.
God, how can fucking anyway? Dave Filoni's a hack,
and then she has to save herself because they don't know what the hell they're doing.
Dear. Right, let's shove it on. Boda Vista has been a member for 6 months. Rock on. Thank you so much. Istari Azul for $4.99. Fuck's sake. Would a lesbian remake of Thelma and Louise starring Zegler and Larson succeed? Greta would write and direct, of course.
I mean, really, all that movie needs is some scissoring, and it is like the ultimate lesbian film. Isn't
I
it?
was about to say that movie was pretty lesbian to begin with.
Already, I mean, it had overtones, yeah.
Right, let's move on because if we're not but size we already are. So Horseradish Power for £2 says Ezra should have been cast as Snow White. Go all in. Yeah, he's not crossed over to Disney yet, but he might as well have. He might as well. They've got a habit of doing stuff like that anyway. So, Bodavista sent in a $5 super sticker. Thank you so much. And Horseradish Power is back with £2. Says do a series around the Inuit goddess Sedna. There you go. I agree. Yeah, again, diversity through programming, not diversity through casting. That's how you get true, good representation, I think. And it's also interesting at that point, not utter garbage crap like we have been getting. So anyway, let's shuffle on, ladies and gents, to, well, a very, 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 very funny topic. But it is, of course, strike. And apparently, everyone supports it, apparently. So yes, we are. So yes, we are talking about, of course, the Hollywood strike. This I saw and I was like, "What? Are you absolutely joking me?" The majority of Americans support striking writers and actors over studios. Gallup poll finds. Just straight away, because I know Andre, you got to leave in a minute. Let's get your thoughts on this.
You're muted, Andre.
Oh dear, he's gone.
That or he meant he had to step away for a minute. That could have very well been what he meant.
Oh yeah, that's what he means. So
okay.
Well,
I'll speak up first. I'll say this much.
You can speak up.
Like, look, outside of people that I know personally, and I do know that there's the people that are being hurt are like the below the line folks. I feel bad for them. I don't care about the actors. I don't care about the studios. I have very little care for the writers. I mean, some of them I do care about, but like for the most part, none of them have proven that any of them are worth the kind of money that they're fighting over right now. Again, it's so silly because I'm sure most of the actors that don't work regularly already had other jobs, but whatever. It's just to this point. I also saw a script doctor comment on this very poll. He was like, "This is not representative of the actual probably majority of the people in America." Because it's like basically the reason I started out like that is because he's well aware that most of us don't care, and he's pretty sure at least another quarter of us feel like good. They don't deserve any of this shit. Let them stay on strike at this point because the movies have sucked. And TV has sucked. So he's not oblivious to that fact either, right? But then he also points out that this is a very limited pool that they pulled here. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. This is, there is no way in hell this is right by any stretch of the imagination. Culture, what do you think?
I think they're wishing or trying to wish something into existence. Nobody freaking likes the writers or the actors or any of them right now. They haven't liked them for a long time. They've produced an awful lot of garbage. Not all of them, again, but the people that are the most vocal and most visible are the people that end up in front of the cameras, not behind them. And so there are a lot of people that they don't appreciate the material. I would say that the Gallup poll was probably weighted to just do people in Los Angeles. I can't imagine anybody outside of LA, falling on the side of Hollywood here. Though at least the writers and the actors. But look, everybody has a point in this strike to a certain extent, but I don't buy this at all. I think this was completely manipulated in order to get this result because they want to put pressure on the on the studios.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. I mean, they say here, look, it was conducted August 1st to the 23rd, found Americans sympathize more with television and film writers than with television and film production studios. So it's not even a real question. by a staggering 72% to 19%. Sympathy for television film actors is nearly as high at 67%, while 24% side with studios. So it's literally going, well, the question is literally, who do you sympathize with most? Not, do you support the strike? Whereas actually, if you were to say, do you care about any of these people? Most people, and again, most people in the real world, would just be like, fuck no. I don't care about any of these people remotely.
Which was my point, yeah.
Yeah, this is an absolute joke.
Like, if you ask somebody, do you care if like garbage workers go on strike? I am sure most of America would be like, well, what do they want? And be like, well, they want fair pay for fair hours, blah, blah, blah. Well, yeah, they do a lot of hard work. They deserve it. You ask that same person, do you think actors going on strike is a good thing? They'd be like, why? Because they want this and that and the other that they don't already have and blah, 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 blah. Well, don't they make millions of dollars already? And that's the way most people see actors. Now, granted, I will point out that most actors don't make $1 million a movie and all that kind of shit. That is just true. But they also make a hell of a lot more money doing nothing but playing pretend, standing around all day in a dress, like Rachel Ziegler pointed out, than said garbage worker who is out there literally doing physical labor, or sewer worker, or, you know, whatever maintenance worker of the, you know, that goes on strike or whatever for a union for a city or something like that. You know what I mean? There's a large gap there between, like you just said, between people who would give a shit and think that people deserve that, as opposed to people who are just like, yeah, no, they're adult children. Fuck them. Like, you know, like,
playing make believe.
Yeah, it's the same thing with sports. You know, like
same thing.
It's the same thing with baseball, basketball, football, any of those things. Because baseball went on strike that time 10, 15 years ago or whatever it was, and it actually might have been a little bit more than that. And it pretty much killed baseball for years. They still haven't recovered. The NBA still hasn't recovered. Hockey still hasn't recovered from their strikes. So the amount of strikes that Hollywood has gone through in the last, I don't know, 30 years, people just like, oh, another one, right? Because it doesn't even affect their daily lives. More people are affected by a basketball strike than they are the TV actors or writers or movie actors or writers going on strike.
The late night talk shows, they've been off the air for how long? No one cares. No one gives a...
No, now they're just ripping us off. Did you see that?
I know. Oh, well, we could absolutely write... No, you can't write your own jokes. You're dog shit.
We can rival YouTube with this. You'd watch. We're going to do what they do. No, because you're disingenuous assholes. Nobody cares about you.
Yeah. And they don't have they don't have a legitimate... you know, an actual thought between themselves, which isn't, you know, sort of written on down from on high. So, you know, what you're getting is just disingenuous garbage and towing a line from some perspective. Like,
that's one thing I'm very happy with here, because there are some projects I was looking forward to that I worry may not see the light of day. I'm going to ask you, Mr. H, afterwards, if you know the status of some of them. But if there's one casualty I hope to see here, it's those late night talk shows, which over the last few years have revealed themselves to be nothing but pure propaganda outlets. And that's really not something we need. It's basically a marketing outlet for the Hollywood studios, a propaganda outlet for the government, and beyond that,
what was that
for the music industry?
What was that one that had the? What was that one that had the vaccine dance on?
The Stewart.
Fucking hell, man.
That's what I mean. Yeah. John Stewart.
Yeah.
No, David Letterman
not John Stewart. It was that guy who used to be on Stewart.
No, it was Colbert who had it. Actually,
Colbert. Thank you, Colbert.
Yeah,
it was Colbert who did that.
And that's the thing. David Letterman, Johnny Carson never would have done this kind of crap. Hell, I don't even think Leno. See, Leno was like as pure as the driven snow. Like his stuff was so safe that I think he would have doubled over in his chair if somebody would have suggested that COVID sketch with the dancing syringe. I think he'd have been like, you know, we really can't be separating America like this. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, he's someone that appreciates common ground. He just wants to get along with most people, to be fair.
Yeah, you know why? Because he's smart enough to know that America is like a bi-party nation, and if he offends the proponents of one party, he instantly loses half his audience.
Yeah.
Freer good old capitalism. He can't afford to let whatever personal opinions he may have shine through too much.
Well, I've been running a poll during this podcast right now. 175 votes support the strike. 24% says yes. 76% says no. So it's literally the reverse of what their poll is.
Well, and I think that's what script is saying. Sure, you poll people on the coasts. Sure, there's a lot of people who are probably, you know, on the New York side of things, the LA side of things. Of course, they're going to support this.
Yeah.
But you ask anybody from Middle America if they give two shits about if Angelina Jolie gets paid an extra $1 million or whatever for something. No, they don't care. They really don't even care about this AI nonsense.
No,
because as far as they're
just
concerned, you could probably get something better out of it. That's the thing. You ask most people in our chat, they'll say the same thing. Shit, most AI programs can probably write and act better than most of these individuals anyway.
Yeah. And I proved that by using ChatGPT to write the Star Wars sequel trilogy, and it understood and got it better than what we actually got.
That's so funny. That's so funny.
It's also sadly not at all surprising. That's a tragedy of it.
Well, I mean, I titled this episode "The Strike That Ends Hollywood." What do we think? What do we think the likelihood is that this strike will continue into 2024? And if it does, let me finish. There's a tagline to this. Is that
I was thinking
if it does, how much damage that is going to do, and how bankrupt these studios are going to be, that they will then have to use AI.
I don't know if they'll have to use AI because the problem with AI is that it's still not quite like I think even the audience will start to call out like I'm not going to go see something that my kid can make on his computer at home. Right? They're going to have a problem with that, and the audience that does go to movies do like real actors. They like real effects. You know, they like decent stories. And AI still has issues because all AI is going to do is spit you out something similar to something else. You want to know why that sequel trilogy you had AI spit out, Nick, was probably good? It's because it's literally going off of what was in the first 6 films, and that's it. That's why.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just it. Is AI is simulated. It's not really creating anything. You still need a creative force behind something. You know, like that. And I don't think
stuff as well.
Yeah, and I don't think people are going to accept AI driven material as much as the studios think they will. And I think what we'll see on the other end of this is a lot of what we saw at the other end of the 88 strike, which was probably one of the biggest, worst strikes that they had out of Hollywood that we've ever had. And what we got out of that was basically that independent revolution. That was where, you know, movies like Reservoir Dogs and stuff come out of, and the independent, because they didn't have movies for a while, so they started buying up independent features. Now they've started already with foreign features, right? They moving in some foreign shows and foreign movies, but then the next step is hopefully going to be independent, and that might give us a new wave of directors and voices in Hollywood, and it will make the older voices in Hollywood have to step up their game. Because that's basically what happened is once you had somebody like Tarantino drop Pulp Fiction and you had Robert Rodriguez and those guys out there making movies for next to nothing, like Robert Rodriguez can make a movie for $10, right? Like I'm not even being that I'm not even exaggerating that much. I mean, this guy can make a movie for nothing. And if somebody can do that on the way he does it, and you got you know, that creation movie coming out from Gareth Edwards right there, that's pretty much like that movie for nothing now. Right. That's somebody only spending a few $1,000 to a couple $1 million on a movie back then, doing that level of work. Right. So it could happen, hopefully. But it all depends on how long these things last, who gets hurt by it, what gets canceled, and what the studios learn on the other end of this. Like Barbie and some other things sent some mixed messages, I'm sure, to the studios. So we'll have to wait and see how that and a few other things pan out here. We really need like Marvels to fail, or otherwise we're
Yeah. Well, what do we think to last into 2024? I reckon that's highly likely now, given
I think
maybe.
I think it's already been decided. I'm telling you right now, as the studio heads get together today to actually talk about it, I feel like it's a fait accompli. They will not be back to do making films until 2024. I don't see it happening any other way. There's no room for it. And it's not like they're going to be able to gen up productions again. I mean, everything is at a standstill. Now you've got to reschedule catering, costumes, you name it. I mean, there's a lot going on here. So there you go.
Yeah. Andre, 2024, when do you reckon it'll end?
I don't know. 2004 is 2024. That's still a long ways off, man. I mean, then we're talking about the strike lasting
It's only 3
as
months.
long as it already has, or even longer than it already has. Is it possible? Sure. But I don't know that. I mean, I think that the studios, I think are going to be like, you know what? Fuck them. We can manage the rest of the year. I agree that I think that they have decided from that point of view that now is the time to really make an impact here. But I don't know that the writers are going to tolerate that, because I hear more and more dissent from within the writers union that there is disagreement among the writers that the Writers Guild are actually protecting their interests. So we'll see how long the writers will be there before there is so much pressure from the writers that they will come to some kind of agreement here. I don't know. I think that unless something changes, this absolutely can last until 2024. But I think there's a more than 50% chance that something can change in the Writers Guild between now and then, which ends it sooner.
Nick, closing thoughts?
I called this. I don't know. It was maybe a month ago or something. I thought that this was going to go to the end of the year into next year for sure. I definitely see that being the case. I mean, the studios, obviously, I feel like they want a resolution to this and they want to get projects going back, get them all back up and going. But I also feel like they're in this place where they're like, we don't have to. We're not spending any money right now. Let's take a step back. Let's, figure things out, that sort of thing. And the little people on the writers and actors side who really don't get paid that much money, and all the other workers in the industry, I mean, they're the only ones that are hurting out of this whole deal. But they literally have no power. It's the union leads. It's all the big wigs that aren't really hurting money wise. So it's like playing a blink game or something. Who's going to blink first, the actors and writers or the studios? And I don't see the studios budging, and the people that are in charge over the writers and actors, they're stubborn enough to just let it drag out, and they're obviously not thinking about the little person either on their side. So they'll drag it out, all through next year. I don't think this thing would I don't think this will get resolved, if it ever gets resolved. Maybe Hollywood and the studios go a completely different direction, say, fuck all the actors and writers. We'll do something completely different. But I don't see this getting resolved, if it is resolved with them, until, late, early to mid next year.
Yeah.
Agreed. I think this is going to go on for a while.
Agreed. Yeah, I share your sentiment now. Let's shuffle on to some fantastic super chats that we've had coming in during this show. Your favorite podcast, ladies and gents. And I've just got to say, we've got 750 people here, but we only have 330 thumbs up. So I will say, if you could just hit that thumbs up button, that would be fantastic. It's not for me. I say this every time. It's not for this video, because this gets unlisted. It's to hopefully encourage YouTube to notify you of when your favorite podcast is going live. So if we could just try and get those, those sort of thumbs up a little bit, hopefully it would encourage YouTube to let you know that your podcast is up, that you enjoy so much, because boy howdy, we know that they're not particularly pleasant and great at notifying people. And I will say as well, we've just been demonetized, or were during part of this discussion anyway. So annoying is what it is, but these super chats go a long way. This podcast is funded by you guys for you guys. So super chats go a long way for that. So thank you in advance. You have a captive panel here ready to discuss all of your comments and questions. So super chat us and we will spend the time to discuss them. And they do become their own videos. Generally speaking, a lot of them do become their own videos on the second channel, which you can find linked in the description box, along with everyone's channel, which is here today right now. Please do check them out if you've enjoyed any of their input. Nick, of Nick Talks Entertainment, go subscribe over there. Culture Casino, Tom Connors, Midnight's Edge After Dark, and Midnight's Edge, same as Andre, Midnight's Edge. Check them out, hit subscribe, tell them the HCast sent you. So, King KDI, for £5, a fellow Brit says, I would rather have Seth Green from Robot Chicken do Star Wars than Filoni. At least Seth gets Star Wars. Also for WGA, Strike Forever.
Yeah, he seems to used to be able to, but I don't know about anymore. But yeah.
Yeah.
That's a lot of like wackadoo woke, but yeah.
Yeah, a lot of those people, that live out there in California and are in that industry will fall in line with what they're all doing and do the whole diversity checkbox thing. And so I agree to a certain extent. I'd rather see it from Seth Green, but he might just be the same as everybody else that they put in there.
That's what I'd be afraid of. Yeah.
I mean, it becomes like the lesser of two evils, I guess, isn't it? But it's still.
We've seen Jon Favreau at his best and worst. I think he's probably the best choice we have as far as like anybody with any experience.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. Absolutely agreed. Jon Favreau, for the win. Comrade Commissar Yuri has been a member for 28 months. Thank you so much. And we've got a brand new member of the channel. So memberships go a long way. So please do become a member. But Big Red 40 Tech has become a member of the channel. So thank you so much, Big Red. Genuinely, thank you so much. It goes a long way. Comrade Commissar Yuri for £4.99 says, I've not liked Filoni since he made Mandalorians peace-loving hippies and undid Karen Travis's books for EU. What is this Filoni Mandalorian peace-loving? What's all that?
I don't know if he's referring to the Sand People in Book of Boba Fett or the Mandalorians peace-loving hippies. Maybe Clone Wars stuff that happened in Clone Wars. I'm not sure, but the EU stuff. As soon as Disney bought it, the EU stuff was out.
They did that instantly, didn't they?
Yeah, instantly,
straight away. And then they're like, we're going to bring some of it back.
Yeah. They cherry pick. They steal ideas. aka cherry pick stuff out of the EU and use it as their own. But yeah, it's not canon. And it really wasn't canon under George Lucas either. I mean, he would
he could change it whenever he wanted.
Yeah, he would approve the stories that the people were making in the EU, but it wasn't part of George Lucas Star Wars officially.
We've got some super chats on the strike. So the Seaman for $5 says, let them strike forever. I'll be fine with the Spanish, Mexican, Bollywood, Japanese and Korean content coming in. Southern California can burn. I honestly, you probably that opinion is shared by the majority of people. And I will say as well, it's important to note is that people outside of the States can still make films for Hollywood because it's part of the British arm of the SAG aren't allowed to strike. So they can still use English and European actors and things like that because they're not part of that union. And the strike is deemed unlawful here. So they can still be used, basically. But yeah, Southern California on a whole, it's a shithole. Can burn. Mecha J for succinct. Mecha J for $2 says keep the strike going. Yep. Pilgram Media for $2 says, is them coding an option? Wink, wink, nod, nod. Well, yeah, this is the thing. I think a lot of people I think a lot of people are really annoyed with the strikers as well, because they came out in such nasty, malicious commentary about people with COVID and things, and yet they were able to work at that time as well. And now they're like, yeah, but we're striking, so give us money. Like, no, fuck off. Like, you absolute no, go away. So I think that's part of it as well. I think people are sick of that sort of attitude of people. Pilgrim Media for another $2 says, here's the idea. They learn to write AI programs. I don't think any of them are that smart. They could pretend to be that smart, but I don't think any of them are, unfortunately.
Sorry,
Israel
I
R.
should hit this.
Oh, you missed it. Israel R for $5 says, if the Writers Guild has no strong leadership, I think the strike will go past 2023. Well, they don't have strong leadership, do they? They have leaders that aren't even bringing the offers to the writers anymore. They're just off doing their own thing. Like, it's insane.
Yeah.
And that's why the studios chose to release the offer, because they were like, well, we don't think you've offered anything, so we're gonna release what we've offered actually and see. Outrageous. Side note, Israel, that's a Mustang in your avatar. What do you think to the 250 grand GT3 Mustang that's going to be up for sale soon? Let me know. Curious to hear your thoughts. Wade A. Parker for 50. Wow. Canadian dollars. Wow. Thank you so much. Says, what does the panel think will be the effect on Cruise's MI7 Part 2, if any, with how Part 1 performed? All right, let's get Wade his money's worth here. What is the effect on MI7's Part 2, if any, because of how Part 1 have performed? It's crossed the $500 million mark, right? It's not great for the film yet, but I still stand by that it's likely to have some legs still moving forwards, and it will be the secondary revenue streams that make it. But do you think that there'll be any issue with this? I don't know. I mean, Tom, you were pretty harsh on this, weren't you, actually, on MI7? So what do you think of this? I think your opinion would be an interesting one to hear from first.
I wasn't so much harsh as I was just like part of what people, well, I wasn't like glowing over it either. I think part of what people mistook or thought was going to be a huge hit was because of Tom Cruise and Top Gun 2. And my argument was that Tom Cruise wasn't the anomaly, Top Gun 2 was. And that when it comes to Mission Impossible, it may not even be so much a damning of Tom Cruise himself as a movie star, but as a fact of, I just said that, look, all these MI movies are no different than the Transformer films. Are they better? Yes. But at the end of the day, they are literally the same plot points over and over and over again, to where people kind of get sick and tired of the same thing. Like, especially like Toxic Man Flew on our Thursday night show made this point, and he's correct with that, and saying that the biggest problem of this movie was they showed me all the big stunts in the trailers already. There's nothing that's saved for the movie proper anymore. And that's been, kind of the problem with a lot of these topics. So by the time we get to the 7th film, of course people know what to expect. They know they've seen the big stunt work. They know if they wait 3-4 months, it'll be on streaming. At this point, I don't think the incentive was there to get people out to theaters to see it. I don't know what other factor it could be other than that. I mean, the movie itself was fine. There was nothing wrong with the movie per se. It just, I think fatigue of these type of big bloated films is what the problem was, really, at the end of the day, if I had to take a guess.
It was quite long, wasn't it? I can't remember how long it was. It was quite a long film.
Like 2 hours and 40 some minutes, I think, altogether. Wasn't it, Culture? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, it was well over 2 hours, so it's true.
I think calling it Part 1 is actually part of the issue as well.
I think so.
Yes and no. I think yes, it caused people to wait because they will want to wait for Part 2 to come out, and they'll just watch Part 1 on video and then go see Part 2.
That's what I was about to say, is that there's no incentive. They will watch it as it comes up to Part 2's release,
right,
at home, to see if it's worthwhile finishing the film, finishing the story by watching Part 2 in
well, one thing I do know is, like, the biggest gripe of Spider-Verse was most people were not aware that it was a 2-parter. So there was a lot of people that were upset that movie ended on the cliffhanger that it did. So I think them letting folks know was at least staved off anybody going, "Well, it was only half of a freaking movie." You know, like that would have been a problem, I
Yeah.
think, going into it, if had people not known.
But I never felt like half of a movie to me. It felt like it sort of wrapped up quite nicely as a story. They could have still left it on the stinger, but still called it something else, I think, in fairness. But I don't know.
But see, I would agree with you that calling it part one was part of the problem for its appeal. The other problem was the window it was in, because it really suffered from its placement, and then it suffered from the fact that it didn't get those big premium screens for any more but those initial days, because you had Oppenheimer that had it all locked up.
Yeah.
You had several big films that were playing off of each other at that time, and you did have a 2 hour and 43-minute runtime. So, I mean, it didn't get the kind of legs that it needed. It really only had maybe 3 weeks worth of legs. It was in theaters for an average of like 4.5 weeks. So it wasn't in theaters very long. And,
it's still in theaters now, isn't it? Pretty certain it is.
I have no idea. I know that it lost a ton of screens rather quickly. So it just costs too much. I mean, that's
Barbie, I think, cost it whatever
Yeah.
legs it was going to have too.
Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt the culture, but yeah.
No, you're right. I'm with you. Like I said, Oppenheimer, Barbie, I think that they kind of shredded it.
And
Yeah.
Sound of Freedom, lest we forget.
Yeah,
That's
Sound
true.
of Freedom, and that was my big two. I pointed
That was
out
the big one, I think.
Because to be honest with you, yeah, you're right, Andre, because a lot of the people that would have gone to see this were going to see Sound of Freedom instead. Sorry, go ahead, culture.
No, just to wrap it up. What encourages me, especially for part two, Wade, is this. You're gonna see people watch part one on streaming and go back and finish this up in the theaters, because it's going to be better if you see it on a big screen. But what also encourages me to think that way is the fact that the film itself did exactly what it needed to do in terms of market performance. It didn't get the money it needed, but it looked like the way the market broke down was exactly what you want on a blockbuster. You want 1/3 coming out of the North America market and the other 2/3 coming out of the international market, because it performed rather well internationally. And so if you look at the way that breaks down in the percentages that you're looking for, that kind of gives me hope, because it didn't only play in one place, right? It didn't only play in the UK, or it didn't only play in Europe, or it didn't only play in Asia, right? It played everywhere exactly the way it should demographically. So we'll see.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens. Dark Winter for £5 says, what would you like to have seen had Ahsoka been better written? I said it in my review of episode 2. I wanted a cat and mouse game between Baylan, Skull, and Ahsoka. That's what I wanted. I think a cat and mouse Baylan and Ahsoka series would be fantastic. Actually have an enemy, actually have him doing stuff, always one step ahead of Ahsoka. And then, like actually have him be, an imposing threat, an actual villain, something which is, he is like Ray Stevenson's a fantastic actor. That's what I would have liked. A cat and mouse game between Baylan and Ahsoka, a series actually about Ahsoka, explaining to me why she's so fucking well liked. Because I don't like her. I don't know anything about her. I think she's boring.
Well, I think what else concerns me about this is that a lot of what was shot ended up completely edited. They are essentially have been reportedly intentionally editing out things that may have appealed to a broader audience. A lot of stuff was left on the cutting room floor. Somebody that would know. I'll wait until I can make that public, but it's very interesting. And I'm not trying to be cagey. I'm just not going to get anybody in trouble. The idea that these are being intentionally edited as the little short vignettes of a much larger, thing is kind of concerning to me. So, and if these are the parts, and the worst thing would be if these are the parts that they left in, imagine the worst parts if they were worse, or if it maybe that was cut out. It's a real problem.
So. Nick, what would you like to have seen if Ahsoka had been better? Basically, what's your ideal Ahsoka series?
So I agree with you. I wish it was more about Ahsoka. This is more like the Ahsoka Sabine show so far. But I would have liked to have seen something more along the lines of like a sci-fi mystery thriller type thing, you know, where they're like discovering clues and learning. You're getting little bits of information that they're discovering. Like in this last episode, we already knew about the hyperspace ring, and this last episode didn't push the story along. We found out that the
Characters caught
characters
up to what we know.
yeah, what we know. You know, I don't want to know what's happening, and I want to learn and discover stuff along with the characters in the show. So this big threat with Thrawn coming back, if it was like a mystery thriller, sci-fi fantasy type deal, with Ahsoka, and she's going to different places, meeting other characters, having other people come along this journey, getting other people involved, and discovering more and more and more, and have that build up to the end, and it's just Filoni's not that talented. So
yeah. I know what I would have wanted. I would have wanted for all of those previous animated series, don't treat them as canon. Treat them as some kind of like alternate canon. You do some kind of like flashbacks or something like that. If anything, they need to do like another mini series set between episode 2 and episode 3, telling what we needed to know in live action, a best of the animated series. That would have been pretty cool. What I don't like is that they give me this freaking homework of the animated series that I will never, ever see under any circumstance. Yeah. And here now, because basically, since they're being treated as canon, that means you've already compromised the Thrawn storyline, because we're now beholden to the animated Thrawn. How much did he have to be watered down? And now we're beholden to him. What bullshit is that? They needed to...
Agreed.
Yeah, they needed to. If you want a version of those events to have happened, cool. But then you have to make it so that the animated series, that was the child-friendly interpretation of the canon events and not the canon events themselves. Now you need to give us the actual canon events. And they didn't do that. That's what I would have wanted. That would have brought me in.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with that. Absolutely agree with that. We'll take one more super chat before we shuffle on. So the Sundowners Club sent $4.99. So sending support to Nate. What's up, Nick and Culture? Equalizer 3 is out today. Going to see a real movie with a male hero for a change.
Yeah.
I really like the Equalizer.
Yeah.
That movie stands up. It's on Netflix in the UK. I watched it the other day. I was like, it's a bloody good movie.
Oh, it's so good.
Good movie.
Denzel is an incredible actor. When we're done with this show, I'm going to grab a bite and then I'm headed to the theater to watch it. I'm going to see Equalizer 3 today. I'll drop a review tonight or tomorrow morning. So there you go.
Yeah. I've got to watch it tomorrow. But yeah, I will be watching it. But that takes us nicely off to our next topic, which is that's right, ladies and gents. We're talking about She-Hulk because
they actually greenlit a season 2.
Well, it's rumored to be getting a season 2 after the strike, so we don't know anything. We this is not confirmed, but She-Hulk season 2 is rumored following the strike. Tatiana Maslany, she spoke out against Kevin Feige. The showrunner spoke out against Kevin Feige and Marvel and Disney. And yet, apparently, they're still getting a season 2. What on earth is going on? So, it literally just comes from a leaker on Twitter. Says She-Hulk season 2 is happening, or should I say, will happen post strikes. This individual's pretty reliable. Not 100% track record, but pretty reliable. Can I believe that they're going to make a season 2? Yeah, absolutely. And Maslany said some things anyway. She says, whether there's going to be a season 2 happening. She didn't seem massively confident. She says, I don't think so yet. But this was in October. So that was, it would be October last year. Kevin in the scene seems to be very dismissive of this idea. So if we're basing this off the real Kevin, then it doesn't seem likely. But he was also, I think, just trying to get rid of Jen at that point because she was asking too many questions. Who knows? And that's pertaining to the final episode. But my God, damn, Are you right? You right there? Oh, you sound like my dog huffing. Tom, are you all right?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Tom died, everyone. Tom died briefly. He's back.
I didn't realize I was unmuted. I was clearing my throat.
Well, we all heard it straight to our ear holes. It was great. She-Hulk had the second lowest views with Hawkeye, according to Samba TV, and obviously Ms. Marvel is the only worst show by comparison. Bob Iger did say they're pulling back on Marvel, but they always say they're pulling back on stuff, and they never do. Do we think this is getting a second season? I mean, look, I hope it does, just so I can make videos about it and earn money, which would be great. Because
I'm going to be there beginning to end. So I'm very excited if this actually happens, because I might be able to buy myself a Model X. I am going to be She-Hulk 24/7. You're going to have, my channel is going to be rebranded She-Hulk channel.
She-Hulk 24/7, the new channel from Culture Casino. I love it. I can absolutely believe that this is like on the cards for sure. I don't know why they would do this. Like, there's never. I mean, it's always to push, the message, I guess, as it were. But yeah, not good, not good at all. Tom, do you want to chime in now rather than hocking up a loogie from your bloody throat?
No, I'm sorry. What are we even talking about?
She-Hulk season 2 happening.
Oh,
yeah, you're
sorry.
What'd you think? Didn't even listen, like son of a bitch.
No, I'm in the background editing a video.
God,
I don't know. Maybe, but I doubt it. It sounded like they had other plans for She-Hulk that didn't involve the season 2 anyway. So honestly,
well, you think about what they've got in the pipeline, Marvel TV wise. What do they have?
Right.
Nothing. Coven of Chaos and Echo. Echo was reportedly going to be scrapped, but then they've chosen to release it because they don't have anything now, and that strike means that they need content. They actually have nothing else for Disney Plus now, do they? Literally nothing else at all. And then they got a strike on top of that, massive delay, massive gap on content. I can believe that they'll go back to things that had some views, I guess, previous stuff. I mean, She-Hulk season 2, I can believe it. Yeah.
Nah, I don't know. Maybe. I just what kind of ratings did it get though? I don't think it did that well. I know
same as Hawkeye.
Yeah, I was gonna say I know Loki did the best and Miss Marvel did the worst, but
yeah. Well, it was second lowest. Hawkeye was one of the lowest, and so was She-Hulk, and then the lowest was Ms. Marvel. So Loki's getting a season 2. I don't know. I can believe it. I can believe it. Nick, we haven't heard from you, bud.
This is dumb. I mean, I guess they think, if they try doing the same thing twice, they'll get a different result the second time around. If they try squeezing that round peg into the square hole, that might just work this time around. I don't know what they're thinking. I mean, who wants this? I literally know nobody, even people that I know that aren't in the YouTube space and the whole culture war thing, that actually watched the show, didn't even like it. They're like, it's kind of dumb, it's. They're just like, and their complaints weren't, about any woke stuff or anything like that. They just thought it was a bad show,
Yeah.
And so who are they making this for? Who's going to tune in? Who's going to be like, She-Hulk season 2? I've got to sign up for Disney Plus subscription. I gotta watch this show. I cannot wait. Literally, nobody.
Yeah. This perplexes me as well, because I very much doubt that anyone were brought to Disney Plus by this series right here. Like, as you say, the word of mouth is awful. Now they're going to do a season 2. I know that there are many fans of She-Hulk that are in the entertainment industry that would love to get their crack on it to fix it. But that's going to be an uphill struggle, because as far as I'm concerned, She-Hulk is now a tainted brand.
Yeah. Yeah, how do you get sort of
And then imagine
turn it
the
around?
Avengers movies as it up until very recently was planned, with a team consisting of She-Hulk, Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel, Shang-Chi, the Eternals, Moon Knight,
The
and all of the three.
Eternals.
Yeah, it would probably be led by that. It would probably be led by that dude in the Eternals who said, I can lead them. What do you think he said that? Oh, and of course, lest we forget Black Captain America and maybe Super Patriot or whatever the hell that dude's name is. Like basically all the nobodies, they have failed so miserably at getting us excited for the new Marvel characters, and that's like perplexing because here's like the thing that Marvel used to do: they took these
Yeah, they did it
characters
well.
that the vast majority of people had never heard about, and they made us care. And
Yeah.
they have failed spectacularly at doing that in the last few years. I mean, the last new character to be introduced that people care about is Doctor Strange.
Mm.
I still to this day have not finished Doctor Strange 2. I've tried watching it all the way through from start to finish like 3 or 4 times.
Ah, there you go.
Yeah, it's not worth it. It's boring. It's real boring. It's not worth your time. Not worth your time at all. Dear, dear. I mean, you're right. Like they used to do that really, really well, getting characters that people didn't know about, and making them something that people wanted, and made it interesting. But I think I don't know what it is. Their direction, yeah, not great. I don't think they know anything that they're talking about now. Terrible. That'll be a massive bomb, a huge flop if it does happen. But speaking of another massive flop and a huge bomb, the Flash. The Flash. Let's watch that again.
Oh,
the Flash was released. Flash was released on HBO Max, or Max as they're calling it now, and it was a huge bomb. So no one watched it in theaters, and no one bothered to watch it for free either. Although obviously they still pay for it, but for free. Worse viewership than Black Adam when it was released on HBO Max. God,
I'm not surprised.
Damn. So funny. I'm not surprised either. So let's check this out. So just like the box office, Dwayne Johnson's Black Adam tops The Flash when it also comes to viewings on HBO Max streaming service. So the info once again comes from Samba TV, who just released the numbers for Ahsoka on Disney Plus that aren't all that good. Samba TV, which has access to 3 million smart TVs. Apparently it's more. Like apparently it's 28 million it's 28 million devices they have access to, and then over 40 plus million worldwide. So 28 million in the States, and then over 40 odd million worldwide. Anyway, whatever. So that's slightly incorrect from my research.
Yeah, it is incorrect. Yeah, for sure.
Massively. Revealed that The Flash's debut weekend on Max was watched by 1.1 million households.
So
Dwayne Johnson's Black Adam.
That's less than Ahsoka.
Yeah, wow. No, that got 14 million worldwide, didn't you know? 14 million views, apparently. Worldwide.
Well, if we compare with Samba, apples to apples.
Yeah. I know, I'm pissing around. Dwayne Johnson's Black Adam managed to top The Flash with 1.2 million households. So yeah, beat it. The Flash made its way to Max over the weekend with 1.1 million US households watching over the first 3 days. This is slightly lower than Black Adam's first 3 days on Max, where 1.2 million US households tuned in. I guess some people would say, well, it was on Max in December, so the holiday period. I disagree. It's still somewhat sort of holiday period now. Now, interestingly, 1.2 million US households watched the HBO Max debut of Black Adam over the weekend. Gen Z households over-indexed by 6% for the new Black Adam flick, which I think is quite interesting. So, what do we think? I mean, I just think this is hilarious. It goes to show the travesty that what an epic mistake. This whole thing. God damn. What a just huge, monumental failure, an inspired failure for Max. Budget of like $300 million. bombed.
Maybe they'll come out with a statement tomorrow saying 14 million people actually watched it or something like that.
Yeah, probably. Well, maybe we will get stuff like that from studios now, denying figures. Maybe because it's Warner Brothers, they'll declare that a hurricane caused people not to watch it at home as well.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the hurricane.
Like they did for Blue Beetle.
It was crazy. Look, one market's affected by this hurricane, so it killed the movie. What?
Oh, God. So funny.
It's so nice to hide behind excuses.
Too many from these people.
It's crazy.
Too many. What a failure of epic magnitude. Bombs at the box office, bombs. It goes to show, right, what this shows, and it's fascinating stuff, is that people are just done with it. They're done with The Flash. They're done with these type of movies. And it's the same for Ms. Marvel, right? So Ms. Marvel was released, of course, on ABC, got horrendous viewership on ABC. They gave it away for free. No one bothered to watch it. It's exactly the same thing. So it goes to show that it's not, you know, it's the actual character. It's the movie itself. People aren't interested in it. It's not the obstruction. Because lo and behold, lots of people always say this is the excuse from mainstream media all the time. They're always banging on about, oh, well, the pandemic, well, COVID, you know, money's tight now. People aren't going out. Even when you give it away for free, people aren't bothering to watch it. You literally cannot use that excuse anymore. Well, it's the pandemic, this, pandemic, that. No, it's not. People just don't even want to watch them.
Yeah, but we've been shooting a hole in that excuse for a while since we've had films.
Obviously.
Yeah. But it's just look, I mean, you can give any of the excuses that you want, but they're just none of these films are compelling audiences to go see them. None of these the shows are compelling audiences to see them. The television viewership has never been lower. Never been lower. It's out of control.
Yep. Back in the day, I remember people used to always be like, "Oh, are you watching the show? It comes on like NBC at like 8:00 on Thursdays or something." Like, you know, and would talk about all these different shows on TV or AMC or TBS, TNT, whatever. Now, like if I go on social media, everybody's like, what's the big binge show on Netflix? What's something good on Netflix? Like, what's something good on Amazon Prime? Like,
yeah,
you know, I never see anything about Disney Plus. I never see anything about Marvels. I never see anything about cable television network shows anymore. Like nothing.
Let me say this. I remember the day when we would be talking about House of Cards. We'd be talking about Mad Men. We'd be talking about Game of Thrones. I mean, there were a list of shows everybody was talking about. Tell me what those are now. What are those shows now?
None.
Oh, yeah, I don't know.
I can't think of a single one. Honestly, not a single one.
Outside of Taylor Sheridan stuff, you know,
yeah.
I can't. I mean, what are you talking about? I mean, used to be
a cultural zeitgeist thing type.
Yeah. Yeah, nothing's in anybody's mind anymore, and it's not there for very long. And that's the other problem. When you only offer up 6 or 8 episodes for a series, it's like this was one of their worst decisions. You should offer something up 24 weeks like you used to, and I think you'll see massive changes in your viewership, because there are 2 things that happen when you do that. One, you're more diligent about how you spend your money. You're more focused, and number 2, you have to make something that's good because you've invested in 24 weeks worth of it. So there are 2 reasons why the quality of the product would be vastly better. And, you know, you would have an audience that would be talking about it for the rest of the year. Because guess what we were talking about when House of Cards, Game of Thrones, when, you know, shows like that, and Mad Men weren't on. We were waiting for the next season, talking about the next season, talking about what could happen in the next season. We don't do that anymore.
Yeah. There's no speculation. There's no sort of theories, conversation. Yeah, none of it. None of it at all. Oh dear, oh dear. Dear, oh dear. Well, there you go. Streaming killed the movie star, I guess.
Yeah.
Better yet, the movie star was never Ezra Miller.
The studios actually not only killed the movie star, Nate, they killed the movies, they killed television, they killed Blu-rays and DVDs, they killed everything because they all invested in streaming services.
And also terrible actors like Ezra Miller to play the Flash in a movie that no one was interested in.
But it was so virtuous of them.
Yeah. And it's so expensive to go to the movies nowadays. Like when I was growing up, I mean, you could literally go see 3 or 4 movies in a weekend, you know, and it wouldn't take a huge hit to your wallet. Now it's like, good Lord, man, it's so expensive. It's ridiculous. And so people are like, all right, I have to really want to go see this movie and spend the money I'm about to have to spend to see this in a theater. And most people, you know, find that they're not going to spend that money and just wait for it to come out on a streaming service, you know, 2 months later.
But going back to the fact that Flash bombed again, is that even that's the attitude for most people. The offerings for films are so bad nowadays that they choose not to even watch it because they're more discerning with their time as well on top of that. So can't be bothered to pay for it in theaters. Then when it comes out for, you know, on a streaming platform they're already subscribed to, they're like, oh yeah, I don't want to spend bloody 2 hours on this lump of shite. Fuck that. So they check out from it all the same as well.
I still haven't seen it.
It's not worth it. It's not worth it. But on that note, let's get to some more super chats. We've got quite a lot to get through. So Wartooth88 for $2 says, is Major's next court date same as Marvel's release? I don't know. Is it the Marvel's release? Is that the same date as Jonathan Major's next court date? That'd be hilarious if it is, because that came out for Guardians 3, and then
I don't know when his next court date is, to be honest.
No, I've been waiting for that just to sort of get an update on it all, but yeah, I did not know. Dark Winter for £2 says, saw a clip of his Detours show, looked quite good. Don't know what this is referring to actually.
His next court date's actually September 6th. So it's literally here in like a week.
Yeah.
So okay, and when is the Marvels again? That's like what,
November.
November, yeah.
When is Loki coming out? Because he actually has a part in that, unlike
soon, because they're ramping up the marketing. But I don't actually know the date. Billy Go Boom for.
Oh no! That's the last one. October 6th.
Oh, okay, so a month after,
season.
basically.
Yeah.
Billy Go Boom sent in $4.99. I think YouTube may have deleted your comment there, annoyingly. Thank you so much. Dash Attack VTuber for $4.99 says, if Euro actors are strike immune, can that make Christian Bale's chances for Sonic 3 as Shadow? It's my absolute dream casting. Albert is also immune. So I don't know if Christian Bale is immune because he lives in the States. So he'll be a member of that union. He lives and works out of the States primarily. So probably not, actually, to be fair. Elba, though, would be, because he lives and works in the UK, I think. Tom working for $5 says, Cruise and MI7. I've tracked Scientology since the 90s. Not my mission in life, but I foresee an additional backlash on Tom Cruise himself.
Backlash has already been, though.
Yeah.
I mean, that was after right after Mission Impossible Part 3, which was when Sumner Redstone even fired him. Remember, he had like his period.
Yeah.
When he went all in on it, and for the promotion of like War of the Worlds, I think it was.
Yeah, he was major on it, wasn't he?
Every single journalist that went to interview him had to get their auditing in and their TRs and the Dianetics and what have you. And it really did a number on his brand. He fired his publicist, which was his sister and a fellow Scientologist. And he stepped back in public after that. So actually, no, I do not think he's going to have Scientology backlash again. And it's been a long time since I checked in with the state of Scientology. But last I checked, they were in a continued state of decline.
Yeah.
Less than 10,000 Scientologists worldwide and sinking. David Miscavige getting in more and more legal problem. Like I think he was like on the.
There was a rumor going around that Tom left the church.
Well, the
wouldn't
church
be
has been
surprised.
sued. There's a harassment lawsuit going through at the moment. I know that much. So not good.
For who?
Tom Work.
Sorry.
Like an actress of some description. I just saw it as a
Tom
headline
Cruise or the
on,
church?
No. The Church of Scientology has a harassment lawsuit against them.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
Yeah. I don't know
There's
who
many of
it
those,
was.
I think.
Well, the one that's
A
the
high
one you're
profile
referring to
one.
right now is Leia Remini. She's
Yeah, I was
going
going
after
to say, yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Tom working for $2 says, regardless of quality of the series, MI Mission Impossible. I mean, Spider-Verse in contrast to Infinity and Endgame? ? I don't think it's much to contrast, is it? I mean, Endgame was a massive disappointment for 10 years of waiting. I don't know. I haven't watched Spider-Verse.
I don't think anybody was surprised when we knew that Infinity War was going to be. Yeah, I mean, most people already knew that it was a two-parter, but I see what you're saying here, Tom. He's trying to. The thing is, I don't think anybody's
you're talking about
expected
the
Spider-Verse to lead into another movie right away to where.
Yeah.
I mean, and Infinity War already was the culmination of 10 years of Marvel. So even if those people out there who didn't know there was another movie, I'm sure they weren't very surprised when it was kind of left on a cliffhanger.
Yeah, but that naturally sort of closed itself out anyway. Like it wasn't.
Honestly, I don't know why they didn't tack the first few minutes of Endgame onto this movie, because then you could have just said that's the last Marvel movie. Because like when it jumps time is when you're like, okay, we're done here, right? Like,
yeah. Dash Attack VTuber for $4.99 says, Andre, I hard disagree. To ignore the cartoon would be to erase what made Ahsoka a fan favorite. Remember, people hated her at first. She won fans over. What do you have to say to that, Andre?
What I say is, well, keep it as the child-friendly retelling. So I didn't say erase it. I said basically retell and give us the actual canon events, because we don't have them right. Well, we do have them, but that's a big freaking problem, because that means right now you have a bunch of homework that a lot of people are just never going to do. So, but we can feel free to disagree on that one. Or we can disagree on that one.
And the thing is, they could have written it, and I said this before the show even dropped. They because I knew that this was going to end up happening with the show, that you were going to have to go do tons of homework to understand what was going on. If you watch the original trilogy, there was no shows or movies of anything that happened before it, but they gave you enough information, as the show was going on to explain or tell you about what happened in the past. They could have done the same thing with this show and just used the previous stuff as a reference and put it in their mind that, hey, we need to pretend like these don't exist, only in our own head. So we need to tell this in a way to where people that don't know anything about it will understand what's going on.
Exactly.
Yeah. If you got to do homework it's not well written, quite frankly, and you shouldn't have needless exposition either, as well. Like
another reason
for bring people up to speed. Yeah. Israel R for $10 says, could Marvel be saved if they stepped away for a bit, returned with something like Blade, and just focused on single story movies with more character focus? Just hoping on hope, since Star Wars is dead for me. Can Marvel be saved if they stepped away for a bit? In theory, yes. I think coming out with like an absolute banger of a movie would get a lot of people on side. But I think in execution, no, I think that's never going to be a possibility, because the rot at the core of Marvel is the issue, and they're never going to be gone. Yeah. So, I mean, look, having single story movies, etc., I think it is absolutely the way forward anyway. I mean, a lot of those movies which people fell in love with from the start, like Iron Man, etc., they were made as their own movies, but they had little stingers on the end to connect to something a bit wider. You can do that, but they won't.
I had an alternate take on what they could do to revamp the Marvel universe. I mean, part of it does kind of take in consideration taking a little bit of a break and completely rebooting. But what I said was, basically end the Marvel universe with Deadpool, right?
Yeah.
Basically do Deadpool kills the MCU, not just Deadpool kills the X-Men, which is what it sounds like it's going to be. And then from there you take a little break and then you set a new MCU, but it's in the 1960s. It starts with the X-Men and Fantastic Four, specifically with the Fantastic Four leading into the X-Men. And then from there, you rebuild the Marvel Universe, and you give yourself a padding of, 60 years, 70 years to work with before you get into the modern day. Then
You
when
said
by
this
the time you get
before,
to the
didn't you?
modern
Yeah.
day, then you can do some of your other crap that you want to do now. But I
Well,
think
I like it.
I think part of the problem is the modernisms. And these characters shine in their Silver Age versions anyway. So
Well,
Yeah,
you might be able to
yeah.
do that, Tom, and I like that suggestion, but you have to keep the modern bologna sausage craptasticness
the only
out.
thing I would suggest is you might have to. I mean, you could either, in that case, if you do set it in the 60s, you have the option then of keeping Professor X and Magneto age appropriate for the original comics.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, you got to
Yeah.
age them up a bit now, which I don't necessarily have a problem with them being stand-ins for like Malcolm X and Martin Luther King necessarily,
Mm,
because that's about the era they would have to come from if you said it now. But I don't know. I mean, at least in that case, then you can give us a classic X-Men that takes you up through the 70s. I mean, you can do a time jump somewhere in there maybe before you hit like the Hulk. Like, wouldn't it be cool to see like the Hulk take place in the late 70s, really giving you a lot of throwbacks to the original Hulk series with, Bill Bigsby and all that kind of stuff. And,
yeah. Oh,
you
I'd
know,
love that.
And then get like a proper Hulk versus Wolverine.
and you have
That would
Captain
be
America
bad.
come back in the 60s or 70s instead of the later period. But yeah.
Yeah.
As far as like waiting, it's sort of like what Nate was saying with the problem being the people over Marvel. I mean, you could wait 10 years. If the same people are involved, you're just going to get the same crap we're getting now just 10 years
Yeah.
later. It's not going to make
Yeah.
any difference,
Well,
Yeah.
again, if they keep the messaging in it, then it wouldn't matter what they do. They have to get rid of the messaging, or they're not going to get their audience back. Sorry, it's just not the way it is. Even if you start from the ground up, Tom, I like your idea, and I'm 100% on board. Reboot it in the 60s, work your way up, give yourself plenty of time to develop it, and you keep the messaging bullshit out of it. Because everybody's done with this neo-Marxism stuff, except for the authoritarians that are trying to push it. I'm trying to be nice and not curse a whole lot. But yeah.
Yeah, no, you're completely right. There you go, Israel. Hope you enjoyed the answer there.
It was a long one.
Israel sent in $5, says, answer the question Mr. in the chat about the Mustang GTD, which I've highlighted here. And he says, the Mustang GTD is a mixed bag for me. It's a hype car that is not even made by Ford, 300 grand for a Mustang. Who is this really for? Obviously not folks like me. Yeah, I agree. But I always like to see what they do. Like, it's nice when cars elevate themselves and elevate models here and there.
God.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's a GT3 race car, basically.
Yeah.
Like, it's pretty insane. But yeah, you're right. Like, it removes it comes away from the ethos of what a Mustang is.
Can you imagine what the service costs on that vehicle would be if something broke or you had to go get something fixed?
Yeah, there's no. Yeah, it is interesting taking a look at how they built it as well. Like, it's not. It's interesting. Like, it is really interesting. Pilgrim Media sent in $2. Says, "Do you think the Flash microwave baby meme hurt?"
Oh, that's a great point.
Is there a microwave
It
baby
definitely
meme?
didn't help.
It didn't help.
What was that? What was the meme of the microwave
I'm
baby?
not familiar with that.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them floating around. I mean, I could probably go find one, but just microwaving the baby was very bad. Don't you remember the movie?
Yeah, I remember the movie then.
Well, they started making memes.
Well, I know Muschietti recently commented on it, but I haven't seen the meme. Yeah,
that's what I mean. I don't know what the meme.
Let's see if I can find it.
I've seen the movie. I know that.
Is that the new nuking the shark or nuking the fridge and jumping the shark? Is the microwaving the baby?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes more sense. Yeah, probably hurt then. We've got Jonas J. Campbell in the chat.
Oh, Jonas.
Says, here's $4.99 USD in support of the end of late night Vax dances. Was cold air.
Yeah.
You must be watching it on catch up here today. You sent that at 8:49. So yeah, you must be 8:49 my time. So you must be catching up the stream there. So we just caught up on all of the super chats. Thank you so much. Again, your favorite podcast is funded by you guys, for you guys. So again, thank you. Cannot stress that enough. It goes an awful long way. We've got 453 thumbs up buttons. If that thumbs up button isn't slapped, please do slap it now. That'd be great. The stream
Been
gets
a naughty
unlisted.
button.
Bitch, slap it.
Yeah, it's yeah. Gosh, I shouldn't use that word. The stream, liking the video is not for me. The stream gets unlisted, so don't worry about that. It's just to hopefully get YouTube to tell you when your favorite podcast is going live. I'm just looking at this meme now. What's this meme? So I mean, is it literally just
informational? That's just informational.
Oh, right. I'll look at it in a minute. Anyway, whatever. Ladies and gents, we've got an interesting topic right now. Oh dear. So this is a resurfaced interview with former DC president Diane Nelson. And she revealed a lot of interesting stuff, actually. Stuff I can't really argue with, actually. But she throws Joss Whedon under the bus, talks about the higher-ups at Warner Brothers as a whole and how bad they are, their mismanagement of stuff, and how they should have had more autonomy. Basically, what they've got now, actually, at DC. So it's fascinating stuff. So let's take a look. Certainly, there was an undercurrent of frustration that we were not hitting the mark. We were not a standalone studio the way Marvel was. They were a freestanding studio with their own production budgets and their own production staff. They were really charting their own course, and they did an amazing job of it. The fans assumed that we at Warner Brothers were replicating the organizational structure of Marvel. In fact, we did not, and it was quite intentional. And then we talk about the sort of DC team, etc. I don't know that there was an appreciation for the extent to which DC team really just had a seat at the table. We would have had the heads of each of the relevant businesses in DC to talk about DC-related issues, including our slate of films and TV shows, video games, and so forth. But DC was not the one leading that charge. And honestly, I'm not sure there was anyone leading that charge. It just wasn't the culture at Warner Brothers to dictate a particular strategy. I mean, that's the dumbest thing ever, but fine. And then they talk about this slate of movies as well. So they're like, the idea of a slate just felt like window dressing. The bottom line is there was never a thoughtful, well-controlled, confidential slate process. And I think it's the single biggest thing that made us look amateurish. Certainly relative to Marvel, if not just on its own. Yep. And then Zack Snyder. What was Zack Snyder? Kevin Feige? No, apparently not. So this is interesting. Unless there were meetings that happened that no one told me about, which is possible, I don't know that there was ever any conversation where it was decided that Zack would be leading the DC slate for any particular period of time. So even if it wasn't a conscious decision for Zack Snyder, being our Kevin Feige, from a consumer standpoint, that's kind of what happened for a while there. There's a place for Zack's movies, and I would have always wanted Zack to be part of the DC filmmaker lineup. But should he have been the one defining that universe? Maybe not, in hindsight. Hard questions. Now, the funny thing is, it says as well about Zack Snyder, his version of Justice League. There was a desire to ensure that the movie was not too long and that there was an opportunity for more heart and humor. And then, we're going to bring in another director to help. And this is where they slammed Joss Whedon's Justice League. My characterization is Joss was a bit of a shiny penny during the time when they were looking for something shiny to grab onto. Yeah, I mean, I thought the final film was terrible. Yeah, I mean, I would have much preferred a darker than I wanted or longer than I'd hoped for Zack Snyder cut than the Frankenstein cut we got in theaters. And this statement's completely true. The Trinity characters of Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman should have, by any measure, blown any other superhero movie away, and they didn't.
Sounds like she's basically saying what everybody else has been saying the whole time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like, yeah, hindsight, come on now. But she says on the film, there are so many things I would do differently. I certainly think that DC would have benefited. The company would have benefited much more strongly had DC been its own independent entity with its own ability to mandate and set a slate and a vision for its properties, whomever ran it. It needed to report to the CEO, and it, I believe, should have been set up independently, the way Marvel was with its own budgets and so forth. So basically, what is happening with DC right now? But I just thought this was utterly hilarious. What on earth do we think of that? Because I think that is absolutely brilliant. I think that's
Glad to
the
see
best
somebody
interview
in
I've
the
seen.
loop over there actually coming out and saying what everybody else has been saying the whole time.
Well,
Oh,
she's
it's so
only free
good.
to speak because she's not there anymore. I mean,
Yeah,
you know,
pretty much.
this is exactly the thing that you guys were saying during the course of the article. This is what we were all saying for a while, that there didn't seem to be a cohesive vision. There didn't seem to be a proper leadership structure. There wasn't any of the films they didn't live up to the success that they needed to. I was really disappointed in when you have your top three characters, all present in one movie, and it can't pull massive numbers. I mean, that film should have been like 1.5 billion, 1.6 billion dollars. It couldn't pull that.
Massive, insanely.
I call
massive.
bullshit on her because it was their fault. The reason Joss Whedon was there was their fault. They're the ones who brought him in.
Not wrong.
So I don't know why the fuck they're blaming him for any of this. And that's the same goes for any fans either. Like, look, I'm not trying to stick up for Joss Whedon in any way, shape, or form, but he had the least to do with any of this shit. He was brought in to mop up this fucking mess. And that's exactly what it was. This fucker had gone over budget, over schedule. It had become Zack Snyder's little pet project, and that's what people forget about this whole thing to begin with when they're bitching about, I want Cavill back and this, that, and the other. It's like, guys. This is what got us here in the first damn place. Because Zack Snyder didn't know how to make a Superman movie, and then they shoved Batman into the next Superman movie, and they wanted to make everybody Batman.
And if I may, real quick, it wasn't Snyder who wanted to shove in Batman. He wanted to do Batman v Superman Part 2. The people who did that are the likes of this bitch talking right here. She's as guilty of everything that went down.
And why, Andre, why was it so important that they get Justice League out before the end of the year?
Oh, that was so that the Kevin Tsujihara, the Warner head honcho at the time, could get his bonus, because he knew he was going to be fired next year anyway. He wanted that bonus so badly.
Yeah, so rushed it on out. It's sort of similar situation with Ron Howard and Solo. He came in, after the whole mess had been made, and he didn't give two craps about that Solo movie.
Yeah,
King
Gate, yeah. Diane Nelson is one of them to blame, exactly, Nick, and you're right, 100% with Solo,
yeah. So
that would be like us blaming Ron Howard for Solo. You're 100% right, Nick. And we had a group of us were sitting in a hotel room with Ron's brother Clint, and that's what Clint said. He goes, "Yeah, he felt real bad because he thought you guys really got mad at him over that Han Solo movie." And we're like, "No, we didn't hold no grudges against him."
Yeah,
like, it's everybody else. He's like, first of all, the last movie was bad. Second of all, no one asked for a Han Solo movie.
Yeah.
But third of all, your brother was just coming in to mop up a mess at that point
and get a paycheck. Plus, he was getting money for his own studio, which is the only reason he even took the job, anyways, because they were going to give him like $3 million for his own studio company. He didn't give two jack shits about Solo. It was all to get that paycheck.
But I find it funny that they're banging on about, was Zack Snyder. There wasn't a clear conversation he was going to lead this. Then why did he lead it all? Literally, why did he lead it all if there was never a clear-cut conversation? I mean, Zack Snyder must have been talking to someone up high at Warner
She's
Brothers
full of shit, too.
To get all of that.
She's totally full of shit, too, because we all remember from the original what was going on, Zack Snyder was the shepherd. I think they were referring to him as their Kevin Feige at that point.
They did. Yeah. So she's flat out lying.
She's full of shit. And she's trying to pass the buck off of the executives back onto the creatives again. And at this point, it has nothing to do with Zach. It has nothing to do with Joss. The only thing that has to do with Zach is that allowing him to have complete creative control over this entire universe is what got us there in the first place. Because it was his vision that informed everything going forward, even up through the Flash movie we were just talking about.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was one of the key
Then
sort of creative heads on Wonder Woman as well, wasn't
And there
he?
was a hot second where they took him out of control and Ben Affleck was in control, and that's when Ben Affleck wrote his Batman movie. Then that was such a flash in the pan. Then they brought in John Berg, and what was the other guy's name? Andre, help me out.
Johnson,
Berg and
Jeff Johns.
Jeff Johns and Berg.
Jeff Johnson, not Peter Berg, but some other Berg.
I can't remember the damn dude's name. The Berg's dude name. But anyway, so they brought him in, and those guys were seeing it up until what? Hamada came in control.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
So that's the hierarchy right there. So, and then the main patch, the worst patch, was the Jeff Johns Berg era, because those guys were trying to clean up the mess from Snyder era, plus try to reformat the DCEU all during woke period, which really didn't help. Because at the end of the day, Jeff Johns isn't the worst writer, but he's not the greatest one. So, I mean, you had somebody there who's ostensibly a de facto Kevin Feige. They just didn't really utilize him, I don't think.
Yeah. Oh dear, oh dear. Funny though. Funny. It's like the snake eating its own tail type deal.
But
always finding these things.
Aren't you feeling now like this is going to happen more frequently? People are going to start coming out and pointing fingers and saying, this is why we ended up where we are. This is why this wasn't good enough. You're going to start seeing it not only from them at Warner's, right? But I think you're also going to see it from Disney folks too. As Disney folks have left,
I don't know about Disney.
But their NDA deals are going to start to expire. And
they're under NDA for a significantly long period of time, I thought.
Yeah, so many have been fired. It's someone's gonna spill.
Yeah. I think it's only 2 years. And I mean, you even have people that are technically under NDA now because they've been hired as consultants that are actually saying some kind of interesting things. So
I think she was fired in 2018, so this would be her 5-year anniversary.
Okay.
Oh, that makes sense then. That makes sense. That would make sense. Oh, well, there you go. Hilarious stuff. Hilarious stuff.
I think it's wonderful.
It is. Yeah, it's pretty funny, to be honest. It is pretty funny. Well, ladies and gents, your favorite podcast on a Thursday is rounding out to a nice close now. So I'll give the floor over to Andre to promote some stuff. What have you got going on, buddy?
We are in the process of editing a DC video right now, and that is actually one that is not exactly what we just talked about, but it's adjacent to it. And it also asks the question, why have DC fans left in such droves? And has James Gunn already screwed up the reboot? So you don't want to miss that. So be sure to check out Midnight's Edge in the next, I hope, 5 or 6 hours here. We'll have that up.
All right, and pivoting right over to Nick. What have you got going on, bud?
Chill stream tonight, talking Ahsoka, Disney, Star Wars stuff. I'm going to be addressing some other issues going on that I addressed earlier this week on a live stream. I'll just I won't mention it specifically here, but yeah, it's it'll be a fun chill stream tonight.
All right, and Tom, what you got going on, bud?
Editing a video. I'm supposed to go on Pro's show, and we got Mead later on, so we'll see what all happens here.
Very nice. Culture. Culture's dead.
I'm back. No, I was trying to render out a thing real quick, but no, we are going to continue to do our live streams this week. Apparently, my editor vanished off the planet, so I'll probably be editing my own review of Equalizer 3. So I'll be dropping that here either tonight or tomorrow morning sometime. So keep an eye out for that. Very excited to see it. Hopefully, you guys are excited to see the review when I'm done.
Excellent stuff. Yeah, I'm really excited to watch Equalizer 3. So I'll be watching that hopefully tomorrow. This evening, I'm going to be going out in this heap of crap, and hopefully the brakes won't be locking up and it'll all be plain sailing. we will see. But yeah, I'll be bringing you my review of Equalizer 3 tomorrow, because out here tomorrow in the UK. But from me and everyone else, thank you so much. I hope you have a great evening. Take care. Bye-bye now.
Bye.
Guys.